Nestled in the countryside of Oklahoma, the expansive ranch house is nestled in the countryside of Oklahoma, where the fields extend out in all directions and the stars shine brightly. Blake Shelton's home is a haven of. Blake Shelton's home embodies simplicity and spirit. The walls display framed records, a guitar that has seen extensive use, and photographs of Blake Shelton. Of framed records, a guitar that has seen a lot of use, and photographs of his life with Gwen Stefani and her children. The only music that fills these rooms, day in and day out, are not one's pop smashes or even Blake's own country hits. This is the one thing that surprises every guest each and every time they walk through the door. George Jones, often known as the Possum, is heard singing through the speakers, and his voice is unmistakable. Blake Shelton, the country music superstar who is currently at the top of the charts and has a smile as wide as the Mississippi, has built his career on songs that are sincere and have a charm, is rooted in the everyday life of millions of people. It is not a secret that he has feelings for Gwen Stefani, who is both his wife and his musical equal. The duets that they have performed together, like Nobody But You and Happy Anywhere, have become modern country classics because they combine her pop sensibilities with his twingy roughness. On the other hand, when Blake switches off the cameras and dims the lights in the studio, lights in the studio are turned down. Blake's playlist at home is solely devoted to George Jones, the famous voice of honky tonk and heartbreak. Why chose George Jones? To comprehend this, it is necessary to become familiar with Blake's ancestry. As Shelton was growing up in Ada, Oklahoma, he was consistently exposed to the sounds of traditional country music. Jones was the one who captivated young Blake's imagination. Although his mother had played the roles of Conway Twitty and Reba Missant, the first time I heard him Stopped Loving Her Today, I was probably 10 years old. Blake said in an interview, at one point, before listening to the song, I had no idea. What did we mean when we talked about heartbreak? It was as if George was singing directly to my being. According to Blake, Jones became his musical North Star because of his raw and emotional delivery, as well as his voice that had the ability to break glass or repair a broken heart. Each and every note, every warble, and every tear. The soaking lyric contributed to Shelton's development of his conception of what country music could be. I wasn't simply trying to convey a narrative. I was trying to make the audience feel as thought they were living it. In addition, that is the sole genre of music that is played in Blake's home. In the event that you enter the Shelton Stefani residence on any given evening, you will be able to hear the grand tour or a good year for the roses emanating from the living room. Gwen, who has ever been a spouse who is supportive, has learnt to love it or, at the very least, accept it. While she was on the set of The Voice, she made a humorous statement, saying, "I'll come home and it's George again. Babe, might I ask if we might switch things up? Which would you prefer, Dolly or No Doubt?" In response, he simply shakes his head and replies, "Nope, it's the Possum or bust." In spite of the fact that it has become a running joke among their friends, Blake is not laughing about the situation. His life away from the stage is accompanied by the music of George Jones. The option not only appeals to sentimentality. Honesty is something that Blake seeks to achieve in his music, and he considers Jones to be the epitome of honesty. Instead of only singing about heartbreak, Jones really lived through it. His turbulent life, which was defined by alcoholism, failed marriages, and salvation, was a reflection of the unfiltered honesty that he expressed in his songs. As someone who has had a fair share of public scrutiny and personal difficulties, Blake finds that the music of Jones serves as a reminder to keep his feet on the ground. According to what Blake has said, George never attempted to be anything that he wasn't. He embodied the spirit of country in every way, and that is the kind of person I aspire to be. Blake's devotion to Jones is evident at home, is displayed in ways that are almost ridiculous. It is almost as if his man cave is a shrine to classic Jones. Vinyls neatly stacked next to a turntable, an autographed poster from a concert that took place in the 1980s, and even a copy of the cowboy hat that is sold as representative of the band Possum. When there is a visit from pals like Luke Bryan or Carson Daly, they are aware that it is not appropriate to advise a Spotify shuffle. Luke cracked a joke about it once, saying you don't touch have been indoctrinated with the ideology. In addition to being able to hum the chorus of White Lightning, they are also familiar with the tale behind the Corvette song. One of Blake's responsibilities as a stepfather is to transmit the gospel of George Jones, and he takes this responsibility very seriously. He has commented on those boys need to know real music in a manner that is only half joking. Autotune and synthesizers are not going to be a part of their upbringing, despite the fact that she rolls her eyes when allows Blake should have his way. After all, she has her very own recording studio, where she can play Hollaback Girl as loudly as she wants while she is working. On the other hand, it is not merely a matter of tradition or stubbornness. There is a more profound reason why Blake is so attached to Jones's music. Jones is a representation of a greater, authentic age in a world where country music is becoming increasingly polished and beginning to combine with pop and hip-hop elements. His music is unabashedly country with steel guitars, fiddles, and lyrics that are scathing and get to the heart of the matter. For Blake, who has been a part of the Nashville scene for 20 years and has witnessing its development, Jones represents a connection to the genre's origins. The statement that Blake has made it so that when I'm home, I don't need anything else. Love, loss, whiskey, and redemption are all things that George articulates. Is there anything else? Here, it is not the case that Blake disrespectful to other artists because of his unique passion. It is not. It's uncommon for him to express his admiration for contemporary artists, such as Chris Stapleton or Miranda Lambert. He has collaborated with a diverse array of artists from Post Malone to Trace Atkins. On the other hand, Jones' voice is what establishes him in his house. While he is sitting on the couch with Gwen, her head resting on his shoulder, or while he is grilling steaks he plays this song on the porch. He also plays it while he is sipping bourbon by the fire. Not the TV star, not the coach, not the celebrity husband, but the kid from Ada who fell in love with the country music is the one who fills the peaceful moments with song. These are the moments in which Blake is able to simply be himself. Gwen, on the other hand, finds it seems quite endearing, despite the fact that she has based her career on reinventing herself, shifting from ski-punked to pop to country-infused duets. She has a fantastic deal of admiration for Blake's completeness and utter devotion to Jones. It's who he is. She made a statement. It is wonderful to see that he is so enthusiastic about it. Also, George is a very talented musician. The fact that she has even been spotted humming along to her, she thinks, I Still Care, while cleaning the dishes, is something that Blake thoroughly enjoys making fun of her for it. However, despite having its roots in the country music, Blake's own music does not necessarily sound like Jones. This is an ironic situation. Popular songs like As the songs As God's Country and Boys Round Here are examples of his use of contemporary production techniques, which include: he employs booming drums and catchy hooks. If you pay close attention, however, you will be able to listen to Jones' impact, which includes the conversational delivery, the emotional weight, and the way Blake lingers on a note in order to extract every ounce of sentiment. The reverence with which Blake has recorded songs by Jones, such as Tennessee Whiskey, although in a version that Chris Stapleton popularized, is not an accident. While the sun is setting over the horizon in Oklahoma, the ranch that belongs to Blake emits a warm glow, and the sound of George Jones's voice resonates, coming through the open windows. This practice has become a habit and a way of life. Friends who come to visit are aware of the following: bring your own stories. Blake will be in charge of the playlist. Additionally, Blake will play the song He when the children are sleeping and Gwen is curled up next. For him, Blake will play the song He Stopped Loving Her Today. And for those 4 minutes, everything seems to be in order. The music that shaped him and the voices that continue to speak to him are the things that matter the most to him. It is not about fame, charts, or even love. Within the confines of Blake Shelton's residence, George Jones is the only person who is permitted to recount that tale.